Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuned into the Paddle and Fin Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows, with great hosts, more shows covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests providing insight regarding topics such as river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
Hey guys, John Rapp here on the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. Great network of shows, and I'm the host of the Rusty Hook Podcast. So let's kick it off tonight.
Welcome to the Rusty Hook Podcast. Presented by Feelfree Kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power. There's something for everyone. DuBro Fishing. American-made marine applications and soft plastics. Ace Adventure Resort. West Virginia's go-to outdoor recreation destination. Big Lake Bait Company. Texas's #1 custom bait maker. Raw and unfiltered. Streaming on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and X. Bringing you gear reviews and candid interviews from the industry's best. Angler profiles, tournament news, and legendary knowledge from kayak fishing's best. Grab that cold drink and get settled in. Now here's John Rapp, our host.
All right, guys, welcome to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. It's season 5 for me. 5th year I've been doing this, doing the Rusty Hook, and it's my 4th year with Paddle and Fin. Looking forward to another great year. And like we ended off last year, I'm bringing on 2 guys that were part of my show quite frequently last year. It's Jody and Dwayne, and a teammate of mine with Feelfree, Kyle Strother. We're going to bring these guys on. We're going to talk about 2024, some of the things that we loved about last year and what we learned from our mistakes that we have made, as well as we'll go into the 2025 and preview it and talk about what we're looking forward to. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the fellas. Dwayne, Jody, and Kyle. Okay, hey,
What's up, Dwayne?
you guys can see we got names. We got names on the screen.
Yeah.
Look at that. Dwayne Walley on the right, Mr. Turney X, Jody Queen, the GOAT, and Kyle Strother, the total package. Hey, guys, we appreciate you coming on and talking about your 2024. So who wants to kick it off? That's what I thought. Nobody wants to hold that.
That's better than me.
There we go. We got a volunteer. Dwayne, kick it off, brother. Hey, turn your sound on. Huh.
How about now?
Hey, you're back, brother.
I must have bumped that mute button on that on the microphone. Sorry about that, guys.
On your soundboard? I got you, man.
Yeah. So, you mentioned a minute earlier about. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me again. Sorry, I was late, but just a lot of things got piled into one. At the last minute there, we decided to go grab a bite to eat, and we were eating our ice cream, and I went, man, I got 10 minutes. I got to go. You had mentioned about the highlights of 2024. I want to go over a couple of my favorite highlights, and I got to work on the things that I might have, some of my mistakes that I've had that I've learned from my mistakes. I'm going to look and think about those a little bit, but definitely I got some highlights that maybe you guys will be interested in, some things that we did that you might remember. But a couple of them are being the owner of Turney X and answering questions and being there for the support of all these people. I don't get a chance to fish very much. A lot of you guys know that I do compete. I love to compete. I'm not very good at it, but I like to be there. And it is what it is. But this year was a little bit of a change. So this year I was able to partake a little bit in a couple of the events that I was able to go to. Were the Gunnersville event, the Big Bass Power Hour in Gunnersville. Was able to go over with a good friend of mine, Don Taylor from here in Mississippi, and we traveled over and spent a couple of days over there and fished and learned a few things from him and that clear water over there and that grass that they have there in Guntersville. I fished a different part of the lake that I've ever fished before. So I was really a neat learning experience, fishing chatterbaits and fishing moving baits and some
the
things
chatterbait.
that, and
did you see someone's head peek up? Did you see his head peek up there
I
when
see
you
him
Just
there.
woke up.
I see him.
When my alarm clock goes off, it just says chatterbait, and I'm awake. That's why I got to say it.
Well, yeah, but it's funny though. The thing that won the darn tournament was a wacky rig, pitching a wacky rig around those boat docks and everything. And I couldn't believe they caught as many fish as the guy caught, over 400 and something inches of fish.
Wow.
That weekend. And then my second tournament was the eco fishing tournament up at Lake of the Ozarks, a place I'd never been to Missouri in my life, and got the opportunity to go up there and met with the two owners of eco fishing, some of the greatest guys, Jared and Caleb. They put out a welcome mat for me and had me come up, was able to speak in front of all these folks there. And we had, I don't know, 100, 125, 150 people, I guess, but it was a really good event. We had a good time, and I'll cherish those moments. But probably one of my most favorite things this year was at the Bassmaster Classic this year. Did y'all make the Classic this year?
I did. I worked at the Z Pro booth at the arena there. I didn't get to, but I got to watch a good buddy of mine do quite well down there at the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
Look forward to him talking about that shortly.
Sweet. So I bet you probably knew, or you may not have known, that the day before Thursday, while the event was going on for the kayak event, we were holding a celebrity pro-am division, pro-am tournament with celebrities. And a couple of people that you might know, I know you know one of them. He's from your hometown there. He's from your home state. And he was in the celebrity event, Randy Moss.
Yeah.
He fished with Rick Clunn that day. And being able to meet those people, that caliber, and having them be there just to have fun, that meant the world to me, and me being able to help teach them how to use, an app, and them learning it. They literally learned how to use the app in 15 to 20 minutes that morning, because it was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And they showed up, and, I already had all the email addresses and everybody set up and on the app. So they're ready to go. All they had to do is really just submit fish, right? But they had no idea what they were doing. So being able to just be out there on the boat dock and teaching those guys how to use it, and then actually succeeding and them having a good time and coming back and telling me it was a lot of fun was a huge success for me. And I think it was a success, definitely a success for Bassmaster. And then, of course, getting to meet all my childhood mentors, I guess, not mentors, but heroes, like your Bill Dances and your Kevin Van Dams, and all those are just if you haven't been to a Bassmaster Classic, go.
Yeah.
Go to one. I've been to 4. If you'll notice back here, I made me a little shadow box back here. See it back here? I finally got my team, my jersey in there, and at the very, very bottom, it shows 2020, 22, 21, 22, 23, 24 Bassmaster Classics I've been able to attend as partially as a staff member. And, it's just, listen, Bass is doing it right. They really are. They've got something going on that's very special. When I started this thing it was 4 years ago, and when I met these people, I was shaking in my boots, man. I was scared to death. I had no idea where I was getting into. And to see where we are now, and I can pick the phone up right now and call Chris Bowes, or I can pick up the phone right now and call people from Bass, and you know what I'm saying? It's just, to me, that's just special.
And they have your name in their phone book and will answer it.
That's right. And I'd never believed that a little redneck kid from down in South Mississippi would be doing what I'm doing now, and it's just a blessing. And I owe it to you guys. I owe it to all y'all. And I owe it to the 103,000 users that are on Tourney X. It's unbelievable. So accomplishments in my field, that's one for me, and I appreciate all the help, guys.
Hey, I believe you're welcome in it, and I know I'm number 88 on there. What are you, Jody? Like 102 or something, or
I don't know.
85? So
Hey, Dwayne, do I still hold the record for most inches submitted?
It's either you or Marty Hughes. I got to go look, but I will go look while you're talking, and I'll report back to you. How's that?
Yeah, Marty's doing that thing where he catches 2,000 fish thing. That don't count.
Okay. Bye, Marty. You're out. But honestly, Jody, you got a ton of fish, and a lot of people. And this kind of goes back to that whole membership thing, and we appreciate the support that the anglers give us. I know it's $20 a year if you signed up early, and then we do run these little specials during December for $20 a year. If you have not been and you want to become a new member, but for most part, I think everybody's paying around $30, and I do appreciate the support on that. And for that, you do get an angler profile page, which we keep up with all your stats, and it's kind of cool to go in there and just ruffle through and see some of these anglers and see the length, the total inches that they caught. It's just astronomical.
I mean, in all honesty, it's crazy that guys that want to be recognized and that are out looking for sponsorship are not using that as a tournament resume, as a resume of sort. And the way you have it set up, guys can actually write some stuff in there and to make it look like a resume. It's a great little tool for guys for $30 a year to have. So
you know, talking about pennies, man.
I definitely use the Tourney X stats on a regular basis when I'm talking to sponsors I love that Dwayne keeps track of all that. I've seen Tourney X evolve over the years, man. It just keeps getting better and better, the new features, and it always works for me. I've never had a problem with it.
Yep.
And it's the best platform out there. And I really appreciate what Dwayne's done for the sport through Tourney X. And here's to more years, man. I hope we're having the same conversation 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'll be getting time of retirement age then.
Yeah.
We'll probably all be retired by then.
No doubt.
I hope I'm able to retire on my own and not forced into it.
But you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, Jody, while we got you here, talk to us about it.
It's just last year, I didn't get no wins last year, but I had like 10 top 10 finishes, and I cashed a check almost. I mean, this was just a great year for me. I mean, as far as just being there, I ended up being third in the Hobie Angle of the Year. Actually, I think me and Russ tied for second, but he got me on something. I can't remember what it was, but it was just an awesome year. I mean, it started off the year with on the Harris chain with I think a 6th place finish, and then the Hobie Worlds. I got to finally experience that, which was a huge experience.
I saw you there, big dog. You were there.
That was awesome, man. I mean, meeting everybody from different countries, and it was just an amazing experience just to be with so many different people. And we all have that one thing in common. We love the fish. Mm-hmm. And it's so nice to see that just travels around the world. It's kind of like music now. It's the language of the world, But
I think that's one of Dwayne's lows was his travel back from that location when he got to hit one of the back roads around true West Virginia on his way down
West Virginia style. I promise you, man. I know that road well, and I'll make sure I go the other direction this time.
Yeah. I think one of the tournaments that really stood out for me last year was the Chickamauga tournament, the Hobie tournament. I learned so much during that tournament because I fished totally different. I love fishing shallow water, and I figured out that you can find shallow water in the middle of the lake too, and sometimes those fish pull up there. And I never could really, most of the time when I would pull up and fish humps in the middle lake, it was just a process of elimination. I'd go to the hump and I'd throw on it. It's the one time this year that forward-facing sonar actually worked out for me. I pulled up on a hump. I was sitting in 35th place, and I pulled up on a hump that it was really weird because on my forward-facing sonar, it just looked like a big yellow blob. There was no separation between these fish, and I kept looking at it, and I was like, man, what is that? You know, and I threw in the middle of them, and I caught a 22 and a half or 23 incher, and threw in again and caught a 21, and it was just, and that was the one time that forward facing really paid off for me. And I learned so much in that tournament. I think I went from 35th to 5th place, and that was a learning experience that I won't never forget that. So
I think a couple 20-inch fish can do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, when you're sitting in 35th, you're just like, man, I really like to make it top 20 or something, but man, to go from there all the way to 5th, and I've seen other guys do that too. They get on the right fish on the last day, man, and they can really improve your scores quickly.
It's funny you talk about those humps, that pattern. That's crazy that we did that on Gunnersville, and we were just popping from hump to hump and fishing that grass for that grass, and those humps come up in there, and it's of course I didn't know that pattern, but it's kind of interesting you say that.
Yeah, it's I've always shot out, and if I could see them on my graph on my maps, I'd always shoot out and fish them. But like I say, that's why I say forward-facing sonar don't catch the fish for you, but it can be a great time saver, because I didn't have to run through the 3 or 4 humps that were 300 yards apart and hit every one of them to see if there was fish on them. I knew they were there, and I knew I could get on top of them, but with the forward-facing sonar, I could see if there was fish on them. And it doesn't always work out that way. I use forward-facing sonar sometimes. I don't use it every tournament. I didn't use it in the Caddo tournament. I didn't use it in the TOC this year. I think I come in 7th in the TOC this year. But there's certain times when you're fishing that open water and you're fishing those humps out there where it does come in handy. It doesn't catch the fish for you, but it can eliminate a lot of water.
I know you like your side scan. That's definitely. I know you're a side scan guru. Yeah,
I love my side scan.
What do you use, Jody? What brand?
I'm using the HDS Live Lowrance right now, and Lowrance has such a great side scan, man. And I like the fish reveal on it. That works pretty good too. But their side scan is crystal clear on even the most basic units. It just does a real good job. I mean, I can pick out bait schools and pick out fish on the bottom if I get a little bit of separation, and it just works really well. I'm used to it, so I know what those little. It's not always a tic tac, on the screen. It might be just a piece of one, and once you get used to using them, if I'd have started out with Garmin, I'd probably feel the same way about it. I think it's just what you get used to. But yeah, I really like the side scan, and I use it a lot. I'll go through, and if I don't see fish on something, and it's just, I'll spend hours just running back and forth and just dropping waypoints on stuff that I think might hold fish, and then I'll go back and fish it. A lot of times, when I use the forward-facing sonar and I use it in conjunction with that side scan, I'll go through and mark a bunch of stuff on side scan, and then I'll go back with the forward-facing and then see if there's anything on it. And it's like I say, it doesn't catch the fish for you, but it can save you a lot of time. And time management, as Kyle, as we all know, man, time management it's very important, very important.
So they pretty much right out of the box on those Lowrance, because I've got the Lowrance. I'm running one of the 12s, and I do notice that when I run down scan and side scan together, like on each different unit, the side scan is crystal clear. I mean, it really is clear. It picks up.
And another thing, Dwayne, I really like about their side scan is a lot of side scans, they do really good when you're doing 2 or 3 miles an hour, but the Lowrances seem to kick in really well just over 1 or 1.5 miles per hour. I can get a really good picture on my side scan moving a lot slower. that's one thing about them that I really like, because I like to travel slow a lot of times, and if I'm running down a bank or something like that, working a bank, I'm always glancing down out to see if there's something laying out here or in deeper water or something. So yeah, I like their side scan really well.
Any other high points of 2024 you can think of?
Oh man, dude, Caddo Lake, man, that place showed out for me this year. Me and Abby and Danza fished together on that one, and I found a spot in practice that we both ended up fishing, and we caught almost 400 inches there in 2 days.
Oh wow!
It was crazy on that new Evo tungsten chatterbait, man. They were just clobbering, and they wouldn't hit anything else. But Beast to Know, I don't think it showed out as well as it usually does, as it has in the past. But Caddo, man, it showed out, and a lot of people caught fish. It's just, man, we were in one area that was probably, we had an area there that was probably 300 yards long and maybe 200 yards deep. It had a little bit of everything. It had pads, it had grass, it had big cypress trees. It was just one of those times when everything came together, and man, we ruined them in there. It was an amazing time. I missed one that was pushing 10 pounds in there, and that probably would have won me the tournament. But those stories, everybody's got those stories.
Yeah. Hey, Jody, did you find that, stumble across that, or did y'all locate that maps with your maps beforehand?
I looked on Google Maps. Yeah. And I wanted an area where the cypress were extended way out into the lake, close to a channel. If I had to hit a channel, I wanted as much as I could get in one area. And I just come across that one area where
had everything.
It had a creek channel. It wasn't a very deep creek channel, but it was 5-6 feet, and it had a lot of patchy grass in it. And it had a lot of pads along the sides of it, and it dropped off fairly well. And that creek channel run out and met another channel that was 8 and 9 feet deep. So, and where it met, there was cypress trees all on the left side of that, and it was a big area of cypress that had decent depth around it. And it ended up that they were just, and I've been in that situation before. When I won the TOC in Ouachita, I found a creek channel on the edge of a flat, and I found fish that were suspending in that creek channel. And what happens is, and I've come across this several times, is you find fish suspended in those channels, those deeper channels, and you can't get them to hit. A lot of times what they're doing, they're just resting there, they're staging, and they might chase something, or they might nip at it, but they don't really commit to it. What they're doing is, they're sitting in those channels, and then every now and then they'll run up on a flat and they'll pull up on a piece of cover and they'll feed, and then they'll come right back and sit in those channels. And that was just one of those times when that was the case. They go out there, they sit for a while, and I throw on them. After a while, I just quit going to the channel. I could see the fish, but they wouldn't hit. And they were just pulling up out of that channel, getting on a tree or running around a patch of pads or a grass bed and feeding. And then they'll just run back out there, and just doing that all day long and just trying to time those fish when they were coming into those trees. It was awesome. And then the TOC was another big highlight for me this year. Got on a lot of big fish in the beginning, but I don't know, something about cypress trees. I just love them, man. I know when I'm fishing them for 2 days, I don't really want to see another cypress tree for a while, but after I'm away from them for a while, I miss them. So. Yeah, so the TOC was huge too.
We got a question here.
Yeah.
What was y'all's go-to for the year? Did y'all have a tough time on top water? And
I did have a tough time on top water this year. As a matter of fact, the TOC, I started both days with a buzz bait and a frog, and I had a couple blow-ups, but it just like I wasn't committing. I did the same thing for the TOC. I started with a buzz bait in the mornings, and they just perfect conditions and just didn't get it. But my go-to all year was that new tungsten Evo.
Yeah.
I mean, when I could get my hands on it, and I did real good on it. And actually this year I did pretty good on a spinnerbait this year, that sling blade that Z-Man's got out. But the chatterbait was, of course, That's what I throw a lot of, and it turned out to be really productive for me this year.
About you, Kyle?
I don't think I caught any tournament fish on topwater this year. I think I had one big smallmouth on the Tug River come unbuttoned on me, but that was about it. I threw the buzzbait all the time. Threw the frog some, had a lot of blowups, but fun fishing. I caught a few, but nothing crazy. It's been mostly spinner baits and jerk baits, really.
What about those
And the,
nighttime adventures you were doing?
I really didn't. I did a podcast back in July and about night fishing, and then after that, it was just. I was like, man, I need to take a break from it. I didn't do a whole lot of night fishing after July, but
Yeah,
man, they're just big swim baits. I don't really consider them top water, but I fish them on top, I guess.
yeah.
Okay. Dwayne?
Zero top water. Nothing.
Zero top.
I can just tell you that right now. Oh, by the way, while I got you two here and y'all talking about fishing, I got some stats. Woo-hoo. I told you I was going to go.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Throw those up. Throw those up, baby.
All right, so little stat here going on. So Kyle, I actually dug yours out too, brother, just so you know. And by the way, nice to meet you, Kyle. I know we have.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yet. But so Kyle, he's fished 59 tournaments on Tourney X. He's his total inches on Tourney X is 4,232 inches. His total fish count 254 inches, 254 fish. That's been successfully, accepted. What else do we got here? His average length is 16.66 inches, 16 and a little over 16 and a half inch.
That's those nighttime fish. They don't count.
And he's finished first in 8 events of those 59 events. So
Nice.
He's come on strong.
Yeah, he is.
now for the old pro. Y'all ready for these numbers? So he's fished 257 tournaments on Tourney X, 257 over the time. His total inches are 22,910 inches, 22,000 inches. His total fish count that has been accepted on Tourney X is 1,361 fish. His average length is 16.85 inches. And he's finished first in 21 events out of those 257 events.
Wow.
So,
10%.
and a ton of second, third, and top 10 finishes. So,
Wow.
That's awesome, guys.
That's crazy. That's crazy to hear somebody else go through that. That's wild.
It's well deserved, buddy. Well deserved. So,
all right, Kyle.
Good time.
You're 24, bro.
What's 22,000 inches to feet? We gotta get that.
I used to play around with those numbers. I like playing with numbers just to see how many, and it's, let me show you. Go ahead. 22,000.
Wow, he's looking that up, man. Give us a rundown of your year.
2024 has been awesome. Not the best year for big fish necessarily, but as far as just experiences and tournament finishes, it was definitely my favorite year. Going to the Classic in March at Lake Tenkiller, it was just getting a top 10 there, 7th place was something I'll never forget. One of my best accomplishments of my life, and just going up to the Classic stage and how Dwayne mentioned going to the Classic being something that everyone needs to do. You just, if you have an opportunity to fish it, you've got to try. And if you can't make it, you got to at least go and see the Classic Expo. There's so many people there. You get to see all the big fishermen. Your Bill Dances, Kevin Van Dams. You get to talk to all kinds of people.
And you go, that was Bill Dance. Oh,
yeah.
And they do walk it. They walk around.
They're there.
We were hidden back in the middle of nowhere on the top row in the back corner, and they came around to our booth. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, backstage, I remember as I was leaving, I walked by Kevin Van Dam and I was just kind of starstruck. I'm like, oh, he's pretty tall.
Yeah, he is tall.
And don't be shy to reach out to them and say, just say, hey, it was really good following you or something like that, because they enjoy it. They really do. They're good folks. You sorry, I didn't mean to break in on what you're saying, but just a minute ago when you mentioned about being on stage, a lot of people strive to be on stage where you were. Okay.
Yep.
Me, I'm happy to be sitting off stage watching what you guys have done. That's, to me, that's success. That's my success. Okay. Because I know that I probably will never be up on stage, and I get that because that's not the way I'm wound. But my success is to be out there watching you guys succeed. And, whether it's Jody or John or yourself, Kyle, it's an unbelievable accomplishment. And
I know I was tickled to death to see Kyle up there.
Yeah.
Well, Dwayne, you gave us the platform that helped us get up there. So we really appreciate that. You've done so much for us.
Appreciate it.
I know just being backstage, the thing I remember most is being behind the curtain, and the lights were real low, and we have the hype music playing, and all 10 of us, we were so nervous, but at the same time, just hearing that hype music, we were just so excited too. We were all excited for each other. We didn't care where we finished. We were just happy that we were in that moment, and we're all looking at each other and high-fiving and hugging. And that was just so special for me that I'll never forget that moment. And then walking up the steps to go up there and being in front of those bright lights. And I understand why they have the lights so bright, not just so people could see you, but so you don't get stage fright. You can't see past the lights. When I got up there with Steve and was chatting with him, I took a moment, I need to take this in. And I looked out, and, even for the kayaks,
5,000 people watching.
They were, yeah. Even for the kayak guys, there were thousands of people in the stands already. Just they were interested in us, and they were waiting for the boaters to come out too. But I mean, I've never talked in front of that many people, so it was awesome.
That's great. Well, Dwayne mentioned you have several first place finishes. How many of them were from this year?
Probably a couple, but I think they were just monthly onlines. Those are always good for tuning up and and learning and getting that time on the water. But
practicing everything so when you're out there for those live events, you're prepared and ready. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was three. By the way, it was 3.
Hey, but that's no slouch on you for winning those, because I know you competed against a lot of good anglers here in West Virginia for those state events. So
yeah, iron sharpens iron. You gotta compete.
That's right.
Sometimes the state events are harder to win than the actual ones that you're fishing, the one-day events, because those guys have got spots picked out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That they know where they can catch fish.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you do too, I'm sure. But I'm just saying, it's as you said, it's iron sharpens iron. But it's it's really cool, and it's cool just to go down this list right here and just see your 2024s, your 2023s. That's what I hope people go out and look at some of these people. Just go to Tourney X, click on the search bar, type in Kyle Strother. His name will pop up on the left-hand side. Click on it, go check him out. Also, Jody, his stats are there. By the way, Jody, it was 1,900 feet worth of fish, which is 6 football fields.
Wow.
I'm shooting for a half a mile.
And that's in a 9.5-year, 10-year period,
Yeah.
So
those are just the submitted fish.
Yeah.
That's not the Coles.
All right, guys. Well, y'all hang tight for a second. We'll kick off the second half of the show. Stand by.
Welcome to the Rusty Hook Podcast. Presented by Feelfree Kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power. There's something for everyone. This is the Rusty Hook Podcast, supporting people and companies that support us. Feelfree Kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power. Something for everyone. DuBro Fishing. Manufacturer of fishing and marine products for freshwater and saltwater anglers. Big Lake Bait Company. Texas's #1 custom soft plastics bait maker, and Ace Adventure Resort, West Virginia's #1 go-to outdoor destination with whitewater, zip lining. You're tuned in to the Rusty Hook Podcast. More than a podcast, but a way of life. From the biggest lakes to the smallest creeks, we are all things kayak fishing. Refresh that drink, turn up the volume, and feel the excitement. It's time for the second half of the show. Live, raw, and unfiltered. Now, let's join the one and only Big Daddy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Big Daddy Show. John Rapp here with a great group of guys. And while I got a moment, I'm going to share one of my favorite moments of 2024 while I got him on here. Got to hang out with my boy Jody and his brothers. I'm telling you now, that was a treat to go down to the river, spend 3.5, 4 days with Jody and his brothers. They were there for 2 days that I got to catch them with. They left after I got down there toward the end of the week. But man, those guys can hammer those and pick those guitars and what is that little viola or you guys play mandolin and
mandolin.
Man, y'all can hammer it. You kill it.
We had a good time trying. I don't know how good we are, but we love to try.
You had a good time. Y'all, like I told all you guys down there, I said I'd pay to go see you guys play. You guys were good. Really good. And
when that moonshine starts flowing, we get loose.
I don't even talk about that. I'm not going to talk about the little red cooler because I was out fishing, Dwayne. I was out fishing, Kyle. I broke out a bottle, told them, here, you guys try this. Went out fishing for about 3 hours. I come back. Hey, Jody, get a little nip. Where's that? Well, buddy, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. A jar in 3 hours. Oh, goodness.
It's okay. I had another leader to back up, so.
It was a good time down there. But I was out fishing in the rain. I was a little wet, and I was like, I need a little warm pick me up. He's like, oh, buddy, we drank all that.
I thought, man, when you pulled it out, I thought, well, there's a jar. Let's do it. I didn't know you was trying to save it.
I thought we would savor it, but awesome. Hey, let's talk. We did. Yeah, you did. Shortly. Hey,
sorry about that.
2024 was awesome. Kyle, do you have anything more you want to talk about on 2024?
No, we can move along.
Oh, heck. Well, 2025, guys. Kyle, we'll let you kick off and talk about what you're looking forward to for 2025. I mean, we can talk about this, guys. I mean, KBF history, Hobie's history. So we all pretty much got, when it comes to traveling and the West Virginia guys, we have to travel now because WVK stopped doing it last year, and this year Southern West Virginia is not doing tournaments, so it's only Mountain State kayak anglers that are going to offer in-state events. So it's travel time for us. What are you guys looking at, Kyle?
Well, a couple of weeks I've got Kissimmee, Florida. Going to head down there with a couple other West Virginia guys and another Feelfree team member. It's
Tyler, right? Tyler up in New York?
Yeah, Tyler's going to go with us, yeah. And the four of us are going to down there. We're going to have a good time. We'll probably go out to eat and, fish around, find out. And it's been a few years since I've been to Florida. It's been 2 or 3 years since I fished down there. But
let me pause you right here. I have to do it because I was going to bring it up earlier when Jody and I posed that question to him. Jody, did you study a map when you found those locations? Now, I want to tell you guys right now, the mappiest, studiest, most dude I've ever met in my life is Kyle Strother. We went to Gunnersville 2 years ago in April, and I got down there, and he had a map out that was the size of my desk, a full-size map. He had places circled, highlighted, notes. Most studious dude I've ever met, and that was just with the map. And I know he did Google searches too. So continue, my friend.
Yeah. I was actually starting on that today for Kissimmee. I have the Garmin app on my phone, so I look around the lakes and hop on Google Earth, look at Google Earth, and see what you can see. And Jody had mentioned time management earlier, and that's something that I've been working on the last few years. There's so many juicy looking spots that you're like, man, there's got to be fish here. There's got to be fish here. But you just don't have enough time during practice. Or if you don't have a lot of practice, you might not have, you might go in just fish day 1 and day 2 and you have nothing to go on. I mean, some people can do it, but I certainly can't. I have to have something to I can lean on, some kind of knowledge. So I definitely try to find something that I can use with the mapping software that's available to us. Just to give myself a starting point. And
do you look for areas that fit your strengths, your fishing strengths?
Yeah. I'm definitely a shallow to medium water guy, and like Jody was saying, you can spend all day like fishing the points and then the humps and the flats, and you might not catch very good fish. You might catch a bunch of small fish, 12, 13 inches, and they're not. Yeah, you're going to fill out your limit, but it's not going to do anything for you. You got to be able to narrow it down, and that starts with the mapping. You got to look at the maps. You got to look at Google Earth, see what the water looks like. Sometimes you can see even patches of grass on Google Earth, so you can see where the grass line starts, especially in Florida, and some lakes that do have grass lines. Some of them are just bowls that have nothing but grass on them. But
Orange Lake is one of them.
Yeah. It gives you a starting point, and you can just hop from different ones, and it definitely helps with the time management. And that's something that I need to work on this year still is that decision making. Like, I'm not getting that size of fish that I need to be competitive. I have to move, and where am I moving? I have to have a plan B. You have to know where you're going. I can't just wing it and run to a different spot and just hope. I have to have something, that I can, like I said, lean on knowledge-wise to try to find that better fish.
Well, I'm going to shout out this too, based on what Dwayne was talking about stat-wise earlier. Both you and Jody have average 16 inches. We got to take into account that West Virginia fish aren't big, and that hurts your averages based on all the tournaments y'all fished around here. A 16-inch fish in a tournament here is a kicker fish. You're going to pull in 14, 15-inch fish on a 5-fish tournament, somewhere. You're thinking, damn, I'm going to be in the money. So, but that's a great average, guys, and y'all keep hammering it.
So Kyle, what do you consider? I just got a question. What do you consider your shallow to mid range? I mean, because it varies from people to people and angler to angler. Me, shallow is 1.5 foot. You know what I'm saying? But what is,
Yeah, I would say 2 to 6, 2 to 6, 2 to 7. That's good range.
Okay. That's about ours here.
That's what I'm always looking for.
The one thing I really picked up on this fall is when they're on that definite fall feeding pattern where they're chasing shad, is that they can get so shallow. They can get less than a foot of water. And, they can find those little nooks that they can hide under. And that's something that's really, I've seen that a couple times this year where I've caught fish and like throwing into the mud. So sometimes you have to go that way, but that's not always the case throughout the entire year.
Do you target it that way, or does it just slip up on you and you make a cast wrong or something and you find one and then I had listened
to I try to listen. I listen to podcasts all the time, fishing podcasts, and that's another thing that I do is I try to get as much information from everywhere that I can. And they had some pro, Fletcher Shyrock maybe, that was on some podcasts, and he was mentioning how surprised he was at how shallow in the fall those bass will get, and a lot of people overlook it. And the last couple tournaments I've had here in the state, that's what I've focused on, was throwing into the mud, and no one else is fishing up there, and you can really catch them.
I met
Well,
him in Elevator, by the way.
I can tell you that advice is sound because I got that advice back in September, and it was from the guy that's right here at the middle of the screen. And he told me, he said, when you're up at the Susquehanna River, don't worry about it. You throw it to the bank. It may be 2 or 3 inches, 4 inches deep, but you throw it to the bank and you drag it out because there'll be fish in there. And he was right because there were fish in those little pockets in there. And I couldn't even get a kayak back to it, but they were there. I mean, so.
We were fishing River Lake several years ago, and Dan, a guy named Dan Roberts, that fishes our local stuff, and he kicks all of our butts, man, here. And we were fishing it, and I happened upon him, and I had 0 fish. Okay, at the end of the day, and I was scrapping, dude. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I asked him, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I am throwing literally a crankbait on the bank, almost, and as soon as it comes off the bank, I mean, we're talking about like just a lipless, I mean, not lipless, but a square bill, shallow diver." He said, "As soon as it comes off that bank," he said, "they're hitting it." And I said, "You got to be kidding me." The water was clear, and I didn't think anything of it. And he said, "You can't see them, but they're there." He said, "You just pitch it right on that bank, and as soon as it comes off about 6, 8, 10 inches, 12 inches, or maybe a foot and a half, whatever." He said, "They just bop." And I started doing that. And I caught 5 fish in just like quarter mile down that river, like River Lake. So I was astonished. It's amazing.
I believe it.
Yeah, I've seen times on the river when, by about July, midsummer to late summer, it gets so pressured that those things, they just try to find a place to hide, and they'll go nocturnal and start fishing at night. But I've won so many tournaments just by, when the water's low, I'll get right on the bank and find those big sycamore trees and just drop a little jig down in the roots and catch a 20-inch bass out of them. You'd be surprised where those things get. And during a shad spawn at nighttime, like over on the Smith Mountain Lake, I've literally watched those fish lay with their dorsal fins out of the water up against the bank and wait till those shad to come in and push up on the bank to spawn and be there waiting for them. Literally watched them with their backs out of the water. And they go where they need to be to feed. And they've got their own way of catching fish just like we do. So, shallow water don't scare me. When I was down on I told you I missed that big one at Caddo. I missed that fish in about 1.5 feet of water. But, if I'm fishing a foot or less, there's usually some kind of cover, usually something emergent like pads or some kind of popped out hydrilla or something like that. They'll get back in those bright sunny days. They'll get back in that thick stuff and just lay and just wait for something to swim by them, There's times when it gets monotonous if you're like punching that stuff and you're just, you go all day. But those fish, they'll run those edges too. And I like to move. I'm like Kyle. I like to move around. I don't like sitting in one spot, and punching is one of my least favorite things to do. I'll do it if I have to. But running those edges of those grass and pads and a foot and a half, 2 foot of water, it can be really productive. So I love to fish shallow. I think 1 to 5 feet is fairly shallow, and then 5 to 10 is my mid range. And anything over 10 for me is deep water.
Well, while we got you on here, Jody, Kyle talked about where he's going to go down here in a couple weeks. Are you headed down, or what do you got planned for 2025 real quick?
Yeah, I'm leaving out of here probably next Thursday. I'll be heading down. I'm going to meet up with Abby and Corey Dreyer and maybe Casey Reed. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it or not, but I'm going to take him over to one of my honey holes on the coast over there. We're going to try to catch some snook and some redfish for a couple of days and before we go back over and start pre-fishing. So I love going down there every year. We get in there, man. Last year we got on. It's hard telling what's going to be in there on the coast at that time, but I fish a little river that's spring fed, so when it's cold out in the Gulf, everything moves up in those little rivers. And last year we got on sharks and some snook and a big bunch of ladyfish. Got on a couple of decent sized jacks and some trout. So we're going to go back down again this year and see what happens. But I'll be at Kissimmee.
I look forward to seeing that Insta 360 video then.
Yeah. I'm going to have it running. Also in February, the next one in February, I'm going to go over to Ocala and do one of Drew's tournaments. Excited about that.
Yeah, it seems like, guys, this year the only 3 national events that are going to be worthwhile will be Drew's events and then the Native Power Hour events along with the bass events. So,
well, they have the team series.
Team series.
who is it?
TKS.
Jensen's.
One more time, Dwayne.
Sorry.
It's a team series with Gene Jensen.
Oh yeah, that is out there. Yeah.
I think that's really going to be a great option, to be honest with you.
I do too. I've got every one of Gene's tournaments on my schedule this year. I think it's a different platform. I think it's, we had fun when we was doing like the 4-man teams and when they were doing that. You remember that, Dwayne? But this is like a 2-man team. I think you can grab your buddy. You can go enter it. You can. I just think it's going to be. I think it's needed right now. I think it's going to be good. Now you can fish with a partner in the Kayak Adventure Series also.
Right,
so,
they have. Yeah.
But Gene's will be everything. The team of the year is going to be all based on you and your partner. I mean, they're going to have a team of the year. They're going to have. It's all done just like a regular trail series, only it's just going to be 2 of you doing it.
I got you.
Drew, you can fish team and Drew's also, but you can also fish single, or you can micro bag. He's got a lot of different things you can do. That's going to be a great series. I think that one's going to grow a little bit this year. I think it's going to do better this year than it did last year. I made room on my schedule for it. Just
the sponsors alone that he's got is unbelievable, man. I mean,
he has done well there.
GoPro and Aqua and just all those, Toyota and I mean,
So we got the championship, the Bass Masters Classic Kayak Championship. We got it on Lake Fork, and then I'm going to run up and hit the Bass Masters Classic for a couple of days. But on the way back, I'm going to stop. Drew's got one there in Paris, Texas, and it's a guaranteed $10,000 as long as you're running a GoPro. GoPro is going to kick in some cash to bring it up to 10. Mm-hmm. So if we get enough people, and the payout for first place is going to be $6,000. GoPro is going to kick in the other 4. It's going to be, and that will hit that one on the way home. So yeah, Drew's doing it right. He's been in the business long enough. He knows what's going on, and I'm looking forward to his year. Last year I couldn't get him on my schedule because I already had most of my schedule made out the year before, and then but this year I've got him.
Drew's River Series was a hit back in the day.
It was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
And then he went through some things where he wanted to. I mean, he'd even reached out to me because he just couldn't run it all. He mentioned to me about running it on Tourney X at one time, which is years ago. And then it just didn't evolve. And I think, and I don't see how he does it, to be honest with you, with wife and 2 kids and him fishing all the time, and then do this. The guy's he's just a freaking ball of energy. Don't stand by him because he explodes. You just go, get that.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. But he's just a Superman. He is a freaking Superman. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And he fishes equally as hard as he talks. So just don't get his way. But we talk a lot. He and I do. We'll talk to each other about once, twice a week. Yeah. And he's always banging the ideas, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do that. Just
right.
We're working to try to get some of our programming done for him for the micro bag and a couple of things. So, but anyway, he's something else. He's a super, super nice guy.
Yeah, the way he's got this tournament set up is, you go in on a Thursday, you have everybody gets together on Thursday, and you get together and you have a good time, and you can party if you want to or whatever. And then on Friday, you don't have to be there until you fish the afternoon. You have a Friday brunch,
Afternoon.
and everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go out and get an afternoon bite that evening. Then Saturday is going to be a full day, and if you decide you don't want to fish Friday, I mean, you can just fish Saturday. If you want to. So it's the way he's got it set up. Is it's set up. You're going to have a good time.
And you can win it on Saturday, by the way. You don't win or lose it on Friday. You can win it on Saturday.
That's right. Absolutely. That's absolutely right.
Or you can sleep in.
So if
Saturday
there's a guy out there that can only fish Saturday, he's not hurting that much. You know what I mean? If he can only fish Saturday, then he can still fish the tournament and still have a good chance of winning it or placing well.
Right.
So I like the way he's got it set up. I'll tell you something else, man. I know KBF ain't running the trail series, but Chad is kind of doubling down on this challenge series, and it's starting to take a life. I think this year the challenge series is probably going to come back a lot more. He's going to do some regional stuff with it. I fished the challenge series. I usually, if I've got a tournament in a state, last year I'll give you an example. I fished Guntersville in 2024, and I didn't do that great in the tournament itself, but there was enough people that entered the trout challenge series. I ended up coming in first, and I won $700. It made my stake. I got my stake back. I got some gas money.
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing. This year, I think it's going to be a little popular.
I think over the years, though, where I've lost track of that is where he changed the ruling that you had to sign up before the first of the month. So guys need to plan accordingly. If you know you're going to go, let's say, to Florida in January, or February, you need to sign up for it in February before you go.
Right.
And some of you guys like,
yeah, I'm going to do it.
I know you signed up for like 3 or 4 states in 1 month where you knew you were traveling to different locations.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's a little extra money, and I think that, they're going to do the Challenge Series 10 this year too, and the 10's it's starting to get to where it's going to get a little more light to it than it has in the past. It's going to go back to being, an elite event, and I think
prestigious.
That was needed too. Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, when you're fishing the 10, you're fishing usually against the AOI for Hobie and bass. I mean, those guys that qualify, they try to qualify for the 10.
All three.
You're fishing against national championship guys. You're fishing against guys that have won tournaments throughout the year. So it's a good gauge of fishermen. So I think it's going to make a little comeback too, because he's just revamping everything, and he's run a few things by me. I talk to Chad every now and then. He calls me and asks me a few things about stuff. Well, I think he's finally going to get a handle on it, and I think it's going to come back. And I think this year's going to be good for the Challenge Series.
Might be good to go step back in time and go back to where he was when he started, and he'll learn that was his bread and butter then. So
yeah.
Kyle, buddy, you talked about this month, January, but what do you got planned here in the next rest of the spring?
Well, going back to Fort Worth, Dallas, to Lake Fork for the Classic. And, I'm really looking forward to that. If I don't make it back to the stage, that's my goal. But I really missed out on the expo last year. I got like a couple hours to run around. Like I was sweating because I was running so fast trying to get there where I needed to be.
Right.
And I would like some time at the expo to look around and talk with people and make some friends. Maybe pick up some tackle. But other than that, I got Dale Hollow for Bassmaster and Lake Champlain that they're going to have at the end of the year. And I would like to go to Guntersville for the team series. And I think they have an event on the Susquehanna too. So I'm sure Jerry Spryling and I will do that one as well.
I'll be up there this year. Count on that.
Yeah,
good.
Yep. After learning a little bit about the river, going up for the Kayak Anglers State Championship back in the fall, I got to fish like 3 different locations of the river on 3 different days, and really learned a lot about that section. So it should be fun.
Yeah.
And after my first day, when I was struggling a little bit to catch fish, and I called a buddy of mine, and he said, "Put that daggone Ned Rig away and throw that jackhammer. We won't talk about who that guy was, but we know he's on this show. Guys, nothing but love for you, and I appreciate you. I wish you all success, Dwayne, as you keep building and revamping and always pushing Tourney X to the limits. Thank you for what you've done and for continuing to build a great scoring platform for us. Jody Queen, always, buddy. Appreciate you for all the advice that you give us freely for being a champion that you are. And Kyle, I can't say enough about you being a teammate with the team that you've been a part of and how you continue to push the Feelfree guys to be better. And anybody that needs information on how to look at a map, I'm going to tell you, he's the man you need to talk to. I was highly impressed with his map skills. But anyway, guys, God bless you. Thank you. And
God bless. Thanks for having us
tonight. Be safe and keep those snow shovels moving there, fellas.
No.
Yep.
Golf
keep that stuff up north.
You need a little bit down there on the coast in the bayou, bro.
Yeah. No. It's going to be supposed to be 19 here next Monday, 18 and 19 degrees. So to me, that's freaking that's freezing.
Yeah, that's a heat wave from what we've been having up this way at Jody.
It's going to be 1 degree on Wednesday or something like that. So.
Yeah.
Oh no, sleeping weather. Ain't no work going on there.
Keep your water running, fellas.
All right.
Be safe.
Right,
Thank you again.
Thanks, John.
See you, John.
Hey, so I want to appreciate these guys for coming out and spending the afternoon with us here on the Rusty Hook. And I want to thank you guys out there that were commenting, following, liking, and being interactive on the show. It made our show even better. Make sure you tune in to the Paddle and Fin podcast. Keep following us as we grow the network and do more things here. Stay safe. And as always, I want to thank you again for hanging out with me. Stay safe.
Thank you for tuning in to the Rusty Hook Podcast, live, raw, and unfiltered. We hope you enjoyed the show. For future shows, don't forget to like, share, and follow, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter accounts too. Want to be a guest on the show and talk about your fishing adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Let's set it up. Thank you for watching the Rusty Hook Podcast. Stay safe and always wear your PFD.